Hey everybody, in this little sort of pre-lesson, what I want to talk about is essentially how we're going to do our lessons, the whole course, how it runs, how you're going to communicate with me, that sort of thing. In fact, what we're going to talk about is right in front of you. We're going to talk about essentially how to go about your learning, and then quickly after that, how you do your practice exercises in accounting, and then how you're going to ask questions when you're stuck. Because remember, this is not a synchronous e-learning course. You do things at your own pace, maybe in the evenings, maybe on your weekends, maybe regular scheduled school time, which is probably advisable. And then you find you get stuck and you have to ask me questions, right? So how do you do that in an efficient way so that one, I don't lose my mind, and two, you don't lose your mind and wonder why I'm not responding when you want. Lastly, how you're going to get evaluated for marks that count towards your grades. And then lastly, how do you get your marks? How do you check on achievement, how you're doing? But before I start any of this, I want to point out something very clearly. What you see right now is a syllabus. In other words, it's a fancy word for like a course outline that you follow from beginning to end in chronological order. And this is what we used to use, but the board has changed learning modules. And I'm telling you this because in most of my learning videos, I refer to this. And we still use, actually, all of the resources on the syllabus. I'm just telling you this because you're not going to see the syllabus anymore. Instead, you're going to see Brightspace. Now, our Brightspace page looks like this. But if you navigate, and you should read this sort of in the beginning of the course so you know what's going on. But if you navigate to the content section, all the stuff in this content section is actually the same as what used to be on the syllabus. I'm telling you this because I'm not going to remake every single lesson video in the course because we changed learning modules. All right, so there's no syllabus. You find everything here, and you will see more or less than in this video, depending on what point you look in the course, because sometimes I hide things because some students actually get really stressed out if they see everything all at once. That's all. But it's all here in content, including extra references and stuff. So what a balance sheet looks like, what are our chart of accounts, how do we order, stuff like that. It's all in there. What we do in the first 2 weeks for check-in, for attendance, and then the accounting cycle makes up most of the course with a performance task or exam, depending on what's assigned and what we're doing. And it's all going to be here, and everything that is here is the same as what used to be on the syllabus, which you'll often hear referred to in some of the lessons. Don't freak out. So the first thing we want to talk about is learning. And learning is pretty cut and dry. It's pretty straightforward and pretty well organized, I think. The only thing really that might be out of sequence because you forget it's up there is references, but don't forget they're there. Those references are things that you're going to need, including things like GAAPs, the rules of accounting, examples, a lot of mathematical ratios for doing financial analysis on a company, and then some resources here that are all assembled in terms of the order in which you learn things and what was learned first in which particular case study and that sort of thing. So a lot of references here that you're going to want to come back to. So remember that because they won't always be referenced in the actual step-by-step learning sequence that you find here. So you will, for the first 2 weeks, all you'll see is this one, and it's pretty straightforward. What you're going to see are essentially do this on this date. So when this video was made, the first day of school, September the 7th, and this is what you need to do, and then so on. It's clearly laid out, all hyperlinked. I can't make it much more straightforward than that. And once the first 2 weeks are done, we move on to the main sort of meat and potatoes of the course, which is the accounting cycle. How does the accounting cycle function in order to produce information for people to use, accounting information? Right, and we do that step by step. And what you'll see, I'll show you by way of example. Say in the first 2 weeks we have this first lesson. So what you do is click on it. It'll be a YouTube video. You'll watch the lesson, and then sometime after that first lesson, you're going to be asked. I think it's actually this one. If you click lesson 2, our very first exercise looks like this, and you click on it, and what you will see is this. Exercise 1 will then open. This is what it looks like. It's just making a simple balance sheet. You can't type in this because it's mine. So don't ask for permission. Because can you imagine my email if every student asked for permission to edit every single document? No, that's not what you do. These practice ones, these practice blue linked ones, you just go file and make a copy. I'm going to call it practice 1. I'm going to click OK. And here's now my version of practice 1. The way this works is you will go, and in this particular case, it's a practice of making a balance sheet. So if that's what I'm doing, you'll notice there's some drop-down menus. You can pick those so you don't make any spelling errors. And you'll see that if it's right, my mark went from 0% to 4%, 100% being maximum. Sometimes it can't mark the dates properly. Don't freak out. But so let's say here I put something, I don't know, here to bank loan. You'll notice the mark did not go up. Don't proceed if the mark's not going up because it's not right, or at least it's not in the right spot. And if you get really stuck, you'll see up here that you have something that doesn't normally appear on the menu up there. It's a program I wrote that Google doesn't know what this is, but I wrote it. It's perfectly safe. It gives you the option of showing where your errors are. So if you want to know where they are, just click this. But because Google doesn't know what this is, doesn't know if it's safe or not for sure, it's giving you the option of not allowing it to run or not. So you have to allow this to run in every file the first time. So you click continue, and this is going to look at something like it will be similar in your account. Depends on what account you're logging in with and what decade this is when you watch the video. But click the account you're authorizing it with, and then just click allow. Sometimes it doesn't look like this. Sometimes you have to do an extra step. There's an extra question. You got to go to advanced, and then you see this screen. But you just want to allow this. And once you've clicked that allow button, it will run, and it will highlight the cells that are wrong. So bank loan is wrong. So you can delete it and try to put something else in. Now, it won't get rid of the red automatically. It won't do it again until you run this again. So I run that script again. This is still wrong. And so I would work through the files, not just getting to the end and hoping they're right, but knowing as I get through them that I'm practicing right, because whoever told you that practice makes perfect was lying to you. Perfect practice makes perfect. So you'll get to the end of every assignment having done it properly using these files. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is how to ask a question, particularly when you're working through the exercises. So just to make it perfectly clear, here's like the landing page of our course in Brightspace, right? You're supposed to have read this welcome message, and it's pretty clear, especially this part, on an ongoing basis is probably one of the most important parts. It tells you that exercises in our activities that are listed blue, you make yourself a copy. You can't work on the file that's there. That's my master copy. You make yourself a copy of the file, just like this one, this first practice, exercise 1, making a balance sheet. You make yourself a copy, and then you work through it. The red ones are ones that I want to see. Either I'm going to mark them or I'm just checking in on everybody. So they're red, which means you can't see them. So don't request access. I'm going to share them with you when it's time. And what are these red and blue things? If you look under content, hello internet. If you look under content and you sort of go to either the first 2 weeks or even the accounting cycle, you'll notice that under the activities, some of these hyperlinks, at least originally, are blue. And this one, exercise 3, is red. And same thing under the accounting cycle. When you eventually get there, some of these are going to be all these exercises. It says watch lesson 4, it'll be blue. Lesson 4 activities, they're all blue. And then you down exercise 11, which has no link, it's red because I'm going to share it with you. That's what it means, right? And so if you're working in one that was originally blue, you made your copy and you're just stuck. Well, I'm not saying I'm not going to help you. I'm just saying you don't need to share all your activities with me. Just if you have difficulty, right? So first, try this check work feature, right? When you're working in a file, check the work. If you still can't get it with that or with the friend or going back to your notes or the lessons, then share it with me by all means. I'm sure most of you know how to share, but just to be clear, you would share it with this address, my staff, my work one, Bolton J at Halton District School Board. Make sure I'm an editor or at least a commenter so that I can help you put the answer in if I need to or type a comment in return, right? Once that's done, make sure I'm an editor preferably, and you can sometimes, there gives you an option to not notify me that you've shared it with me. Make sure I'm notified so I know, because that tells me, I'll get a notice that the file has been shared and that tells me you have a question. And then I open the file. But don't just do that, because as we go through the course, I'm sure you can imagine, the files are going to get bigger and they'll have more pages, tabs down here. And I'm not going to really know where you're stuck for certain or what exactly you're confused by. So put in a comment or a question. Just go easy on the comments, because every time you do that, it fires off an email to all the collaborators on a Google file, right? So you can put in a comment and go, I tried this, but I tried, but I can't figure it out, right? And so when I open the file, I'm going to see by each page tab, I'm going to see these little black numbers in black, right? It tells me you have comments on that page, and I can find them. See the little yellow tab in the corner. Plus, I can also just see all comments, and it puts them on the side for me, right? And then I'll know where you have questions, and I can respond to them and help you out. Make sense? The last thing is getting evaluated, and the red links are things I am going to mark. Some of them will count towards your final grade. Most won't. They're just practice assignments and practice tests. And you'll be told which ones will count for a mark well in advance. Don't panic. These ones you can't access. You can't even open them to see them, because I put on the calendar up here what day they're going to happen on, and that's the day they'll be shared with you. So as a rule, unless you have a question that you want me to look at your file, you will never share anything with me all semester. And the red ones, so you'll just make your own copies of these and work through them normally. The red ones I will share with you when the day comes to do them, not before. And it's really important that you understand that once I've shared that file with you, don't make a copy. I've shared it with you because I need to have access so I can evaluate it or mark it, right? So when I've shared these red files with you, do your work in that file that I have shared with you, please. Got it? And the day that's going to take place on will be on the calendar. So if you're still not sure about these instructions, watch the video again, play it back double speed if you need to, or send me an email. So the last thing we're going to talk about is, how do you get feedback? How do you see your actual marks as the semester goes on? Well, in front of you here is an example of one of my students, a made-up student from, say, one of my advanced functions classes. So this file will be shared with you. Well, I mean, not this one, but one just like it. It's a spreadsheet. It'll be shared with you early in the semester once we actually have marks or assessments to keep track of. And what it does is it contains everything in one place. So please never email me with a question, what is my mark? Because you have 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week access to this. And whatever mark I have for you is going to be here, as well as all your individual marks. So your name will be up here in the top left. And the file name, when it comes to you, will look something like this. So it'll be shared with you and allow you to view it only. It'll say report. It'll say your course code, and it'll have your last name and first name. And it has all the different categories, knowledge, application, etc. S for performance task, exam, and then D for diagnostic, marks that don't count towards your grade. And we'll also include the weighting. And then your individual marks will go down here and the weight. And note that the weight, say for here example, this weight of 20, that's not 20% of your overall mark. It's just a weight value. And then various dates and so on. And if you do learning skills, they'll be kept track of over here. So if you self-evaluate when I ask you to on your learning skills, they'll be here, as well as any reflections on that. So again, as soon as it arrives, click the little star to bookmark it, put it on your bookmark bar, put it in your drive, put it somewhere that allows you to access it whenever you want to, so you don't lose track of it. And if we do any assignments that are marked with a rubric, those rubrics also appear down here on different page tabs. For example, this one, performance task, if it has a rubric, it'll look like this with the category, the weight, the item, how it was graded, any comments if there are any, and then the mark. And in fact, when you're looking at this rubric, if you want to quickly go and look at the tasks, all you actually have to do is click right here where it says click the assignment name, click the name, and it will open the Google file with which in which you did the assignment that this rubric evaluates. That's pretty much it. So put this somewhere safe, bookmark it, have it handy so you can check it all semester.